Welcome to Syntax. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Front End Happy Hour podcast.
Welcome to this week's JS Party.
Live from Shipshape Studios, this is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and me, Charles William Carpenter III.
That's right, Charles. We drink whiskey and talk about web development. I mean, it's all in the name. It's not that deep.
This is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot. Do not adjust your set.
All right, welcome to Wine, Web, and Whatnot, which is formerly known as Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, but cannot do whiskey at this conference venue at this time. So we have some wine.
At this time.
Chuck is trying to get it open.
It's very hard. Can you even
doing
see
a fine job. I can
even
see you a little bit. You maybe should scooch this way a bit.
Yeah.
We're kind of cut off, but the camera can see us. Yeah, we have
You're
special
making
guests
fun
with
of
us
me?
you may recognize from another podcast.
Yes,
I
please.
think it's called Shop Talk Show. Was that correct?
No comment. How do I get out of here?
Do you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell the folks a little bit about what you do?
I am the sommelier of the show, opening this wine.
Yes.
That voice you just heard is Adam Stacoviak. My name is Jerod Santo. We are co-hosts of the Changelog podcast, and we are open books that you can read with your ears by speaking to us.
All right. Oh, that should be your tagline.
See, hey,
open
that's
books you
me,
can
it's
read
not
with
just
your
me.
ears.
It's got a nice
How many
ring to it.
devs does it take?
Are you guys okay over
I think
there?
they broke the cork. It's broken.
All right, so our wine today is full of cork, but it is a Italian wine, I believe a Chianti Classico Reserva.
It is,
yes. From somewhere. I can't. Where's it from, Chuck?
We are not drinking that.
Yeah.
They can get it off.
Today's episode is sponsored by
bottles.
Corkscrews. Need one? We do.
And basic education.
I've got it.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Oh, we got it. Get it.
Once you get it, Fred it all
You
right.
That's how the
just
show
push it
normally
through.
goes?
Well, it's a little more loosey-goosey for right now. But
Okay.
Wait, tell me you're an avid listener, right? Of course.
I've heard you guys when you were on my show, JS Party. That was I definitely listened to that.
yeah. I heard
That was
this there
good.
too.
I thought you guys.
nice.
Yeah.
You guys were
I still
awesome.
think we should have won that.
I
is
don't
that?
remember, but I'm pretty sure.
It was the screen size one.
Chuck
about
ruined it, didn't he?
what are the common screen sizes
That was
people use?
that was a really bad question. Turns out it was you have to say ranges because
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah. It was a fun time though.
that was fun.
Yeah.
These guys are like having their own conversation over there. Super awkward.
You guys know we're recording right now, right?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we-
Oh, yeah.
You guys were talking over us, so we just went ahead and had a side
Okay.
conversation.
we were having like
Hey,
show
no side
Yeah.
chit-chat.
Well, this episode is brought to you by Drinks.com. Drinks.com. If you're a wino
They have
on the road,
drinks.com. That is such a good
fucking.
good
And they owe me a bunch of
domain.
money now.
And that is
So
great
it's
stuff.
.com.
it's a travel pourer that is like a pliable disc that you just kind of roll up. You put it in your wine, and
I thought roll up was for like bundling JavaScript. Is that not it?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pass him down. We're just gonna.
So
do
when
that.
you think
It's
about
not good.
drinks.com, DRINKS, that is a 6-letter domain. It's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is for you.
Yes. Thank you.
It made me think of X.com, which probably cost in the millions, but
A billion.
am I the only one that thinks that that's too short?
Yeah, I
Like,
think.
yeah.
it's lopsided. The X is just one letter, and then the .com is actually more substantial. I just feel like you shouldn't go less than 3.
Yeah.
It has to be something you can search for. For
That's my
SEO,
hot
if
take.
you go X.
I know.
Well, maybe that works. I haven't tried to search
Like, you want to
X,
find their X account,
but
fine.
yeah.
If you want to find their double S account, also okay.
Yeah, like
Good
find
legs.
me at
But you stop right there.
Q.com.
Good legs on this wine.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't had
Okay,
any
so
yet.
we're having the
This line doesn't speak like that.
Chianti Classico Reserva as it is a DOCG, which means organic, but that is good in Italy and terrible in the
Yeah.
States. So
Yep.
just a heads up there. It's the 2018, so it's got some age to it. And there you go, get to it. Little sniff, how's it on the nose?
Well, it's better in the mouth.
Okay, well, you start there. So that's what she said.
It's that kind of show.
Oh
It
yeah,
is
say
that
whatever
kind
you
of
want.
show. Also,
Unedited,
Say
unfiltered.
whatever you want.
Uncancelable, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. you
Dot
can-
com.
You can sue me for $0.
Can I say things I don't want?
Sure.
This wine. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah, drinkable.
Sharp.
Serviceable. That's how
Sharp.
I describe it. Serviceable. I'm not a big Chianti guy.
Yes.
I am Italian, though, so that's kind of backwards, but...
What Italian wine do you like?
Oh, no, I mean, I'm Italian, genetically. I'm not Italian.
Yeah, but that
Italian
means you
wines,
have to
okay.
like some Italian things, right? Now you're
Well,
going to tell me you don't
100%.
like pizza, right?
Oh, I love pizza. I had
Okay,
some pizza
good.
last time. That's spectacular. How much does this wine cost? Is that... We can say whatever we want, right?
Yeah, we can say whatever we want. I don't know. What was this, like 30, 35 bucks?
30-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Not
that's
zero, but not super fancy.
All right.
Do you get wine for zero?
No, but I mean,
Okay.
you can get a $5 or a $10.
If you guys
bottle.
get big enough, you can get free whiskey at least.
Yeah.
Yes,
we would
that's
hope.
the end goal.
Is that the... There you go. There's
All
your,
right.
your
All
North
right.
Star.
We're way off track here.
Way off track.
So we're
Reel
having
it in.
alcohol. We've introduced the alcohol. We've tasted
tasted
it, but
it.
we haven't talked
What-
about it.
what are the
Haven't
notes you're
spoken to
getting?
Any tasting notes.
Mr. Charles William Carpenter.
Thank
III.
you. Okay, there we go. It's very dry, which is what I don't like about Chianti a lot of times. I don't mind a full body, which this does have, but its finish just makes me feel like I needed the chunk.
I thought it was
of
Italian.
water. Italiano. Anyway.
That was a Finnish joke.
I got it.
Right. Sorry, Chuck.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing your podcast next. Maybe not, because, man, I ain't going to fuck that shit up.
Unlike yours, you can't say whatever you want on our show.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes. We will bleep
I
you.
apologize. I interrupted you, but
Yeah.
it was a good joke.
It's pretty
Yes.
good. No, it's all good. So very fruity in the start, very dry in the finish, not a whole lot in between for me. It's all right. I mean, I'm sure it's a nice Chianti. I, like you, Jerod, though, don't prefer them. So we have a highly technical rating here on the show. You guys may have forgotten from the last episode you listened to. 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being terrible, obviously. 4, middle of the road. Would have again, but not amazing. 8, clear the shelves. This is for me. You can categorize however that you want with that. You can say to other wines, alcohol in general, doesn't matter. Like I said, not too crazy there. For me, this, I don't love Chiantis. This is probably a little better than like your standard table Chianti though. So I'm going to give it a 5. We can go down the line if you like.
I'll go next.
Yes.
I would say that the Chianti, I almost said Conti, which is so close to the other version that, can we say that on the show?
Well,
I mean, it is a mark for
cunty?
adults. Yeah. How is it on the cunty scale for you?
I would say on the Chianti side,
Yes.
I'm not a Chianti kind of guy. I'm more of a red blend, a very simple wine drinker. I like blends a lot. I like Texas blends a lot.
Okay.
I like California blends a lot. I like a Malbec. You know, that's
Malbec.
my style. You know,
Like a
it goes
lighter
well
one.
with steak. It goes well with solo by itself. It's generally not very expensive.
Yes.
So I would say because of the reasons I don't really care for Chianti, this is dry. I would say it's low on my list. I would never buy this again or drink it.
Will you finish this cup? Is it good enough to finish?
Yeah, I'll drink it with you.
Yeah, we got to crush
It would be
this
rude
bottle
not
that
to.
I
I'll drink it with you,
started
but
out.
I'm
It
not.
would be very rude
I'm
not
not
to.
excited to go out and get a bottle of this
buy
very
this.
fine Capria.
Caprea.
Capria.
All right.
Chianti Classico Reserva. 2018.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing it, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first time I've had it too. So, you take a roll of the dice when you go to the
Yeah.
Wegmans and Raleigh.
Did you give it tentacles?
Oh, 2 tentacles.
No.
Okay.
2.5.
He didn't spit it out, so it was all.
Yeah.
I will echo Chuck in his analysis, and I will subtract 1 point. I will give it 4 tentacles, but for the exact same reasons.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
The actual fan.
Here's
Oh,
the thing.
shit. He's a fan?
No, here's
he
the
bought
thing.
this.
He likes Chianti. He chose
I
this
like
one.
Chianti. I
selection.
don't like the Classico Reserve.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be fancier. I like the normal Chianti. So I got the one that was supposed to be fancier, to have better stuff. But yeah, it's not my favorite either. I give it more than a 2. I think 4 is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, maybe 4.5. Like, get
Yeah, I
a
was
line.
thinking
Oh, you can do halves?
Yeah, you absolutely can. Does that change anything for
I
you?
stand by my 4.
Where did you let? Did you say 4 also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
4 seems
All right.
reasonable.
Can I interject maybe another role into your grading system?
Sure.
How much would you pay for it? Not what you paid for, but how much would you pay for it?
See, that's the problem too, because in Italy, this would be 10, 15 euro.
Oh, easily.
Like-
Yeah. Wine is way cheaper.
And so it's double or more here.
Okay.
So like pricing is all inflated, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, if
I
I
think
paid
10 or
15
15
bucks,
euro is
I'd be fine with this.
pretty good for
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
$15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you disagree with that assessment?
Well, he would say he would never buy it. So
Yeah. Not
So I would
even
never buy it.
he would
What
way
would
more
you
drink
pay?
it.
What would you pay?
$10.
$10.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wouldn't be crazy, right, in Italy.
Yeah,
Jerod,
yeah.
what part of Italy is your family from?
Sicily.
The boot.
Oh, way down. All
Right,
right.
the island.
Yeah, and don't piss you off because you got people.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I've seen The
That's right.
Godfather. I know.
They
what
have
it
Do
was.
not
recipes.
cross me.
Yeah.
Okay? I will make you an offer you cannot refuse.
because you'll be done. So here we are.
Well, actually, it's growing on me now that I'm sipping it a bit.
Yeah.
Alcohol will do that.
It's smoothing
yeah.
out.
The more you have,
Well,
the
it's
better
smoothing
it
out.
is.
Like,
Wait till the
you
next
get
glass.
past that dry part and it's smoothing out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's airing it out
It's
a little
gotten
bit.
a bit more tart in the center for me. You know, it was like sweet at first, like jammy sweet, and then starts to get a little more like soured in the middle of the end.
Mm,
Anyway,
That's deep.
We are
So-
drinking it out of the best glassware for this,
yeah.
so that helps.
This is Tupperware's finest.
Glassware is a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're
I
not
was-
red.
yeah, I was
I
just
was like, we
kidding.
just
Plastic
can't get
ware.
red. We can't get red cups. That's all. I was like, come on, we're classier than that. We're better than that. We deserve that.
Yeah.
And together, there's a podcast over there too. There's a number of them. Here at
This is
All
Podcast
Things
Alley.
Open. Yeah, some here, some down there, some
awesome.
up there. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
That takes me into what I think some of the things I thought it would be good for us to do.
Okay,
here.
let's get into it.
Yeah, just to the
Let's do it.
and we're all creating content online, right? Doing kind of our thing in various areas, some more successfully than others. I don't think it's limited to podcasting because we have plenty of folks who do like live streaming. There's a lot of learning content out there. There are short form things. Do you think, and I'm going to ask this question of both of you so you can each take an answer at it,
Okay.
that inherently within development for the betterment of your career, figuring out how to create content, is that necessary to really stand out and gain a career within web development as a whole? Or I'll leave that open-ended, the second part.
Good question. I don't think so. I think for a certain class of people, it makes a lot of sense. I think it can certainly accelerate a career. There are probably thousands, if not tens of thousands, of very, very successful software developers who do not do any content at all.
Yeah.
And I think they would
Yep.
raise their hand and say, not necessary, guys, 'cause I'm doing it without doing that. However, it's a great avenue.
Yeah.
I agree. No, I think it depends on what the person is optimizing for. If they're trying to get to be like a famous developer or notoriety, then I think, yeah, you probably want to create some content. I think you're probably going to put yourself out there. You're going to be flashy. You're going to do things. You're going to be provocative potentially in your own way. And I think if you want to be that kind of well-known developer, that kind of successful developer, then I think you're probably going to create some content. But if you want to be a developer who is behind the scenes, necessary, maybe even cog-like, potentially, then I think that you don't need to worry about any content. You can just show up and do your thing and be a useful cog and be a great team member and deliver great software and care about customers. And that's all you got to do.
So, related, what do you think about open source? Is doing open source stuff helpful at all to a career, other than learning the skill? Like,
Yeah.
for the notoriety standpoint, is it helpful?
I certainly think it is. Obviously, you can have more or less success with open source, yet it's a great way to be able to point at something that you've done or built, which is not proprietary or needs permission from your previous employer. So
Right.
there's a lot of advantages even in that. And of course, there's opportunity to raise your clout in the community by having a successful project or participating in one. So I think it absolutely is. Where I thought you were going to go with that, maybe you're headed there, is that content creation. Is open source creating content? Because
Kind of.
kind of it is, but
Yeah.
it's also kind of not. So I don't know.
It kind of
Open
is.
question.
I think it's content.
Code.
The
Code
question
is
is,
content.
is being involved in or shipping open source or contributing. What was the question again, Robbie?
Is open source, not from learning the skill perspective, but just like from my GitHub screen and like I'm trying to build my brand, is doing open source really helpful for that?
I think it goes back to my original answer with the other one, was just if you're trying to be more out there and more of a well-known person, famous or infamous, then I think having a flashy GitHub profile that shows off the things you care about is going to be very helpful. whether it's for making friends, whether it's making new network connections that lead to job opportunities, or a co-founder, or whatever it might be, then yeah. But if you want to be a developer who's behind the scenes, not necessary. I mean, you may have a profile, but you may not care if it's fleshed out in terms of, hey, this is Adam Stacoviak and what he cares about. Go look at my GitHub profile. It's basically abandoned. I mean, like, I don't do a lot of open source besides our own contributions, and that's limited. I did do a lot of stuff in open source, but I've not done a lot in terms of code contributions.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm not asking the question the exact right way here. So I have done a lot of open source stuff. I don't think it has helped my brand at all. Or like when I try to go get a job at a company, they're not like, oh, cool, I've seen you online, let's hire you. You're still the same interviews as everyone else. Like,
Right. So, okay. And I think all of this is kind of under the umbrella of building reputation.
Yeah.
There are all different ways to potentially build a reputation. And then, like you said, Adam, it's kind of optimizing for what kind of outcomes within that reputation you want. Like, I can come here and drink whiskey and talk shit, and that might gain me some popularity, but no one's going to know what I can do for them professionally unless they're hiring me to do that thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're building reputation in multiple avenues, and open source is another one of those potential things. But, you got to optimize for the outcome that you want. Although I will say that, like, if you want to be a cog in the wheel, collect the paycheck that you're given and stay quietly tucked in the corner, you can do that.
Yeah.
But your options are limited because the scope of the reputation you're building is within now your current company. So then that comes to be, remember they used to try to force a lot of web developers to have portfolios? And it's like, what am I showing you with a portfolio necessarily? Like, that's just like, I could read a book and do the project in it and push that out. That doesn't necessarily show that same thing, but it's all about reputation and figuring it out how, for us as developers, how do we like showcase that without going through, 6 loops and a whiteboard? Like, what does that look like? Because an architect doesn't have to go prove themselves in an interview. They have a reputation because they went through the schooling and maybe, built these 3 buildings.
Yeah.
I think I would almost take that and these initial questions back one step, and is like, what ways do you think are necessary as folks who do want to just I want to supercharge my career and I'm really good at this thing I'm doing. How do I build reputation for that? And a lot of people are doing learning content to show it, but sometimes they show up to podcasts, but what else is it for us to prove we're good at this or get people to know us in a way that they want to work with us?
Great question. I think reputation in a lot of ways is in the eye of the beholder. And so to tie back to what Robbie said, we've talked with hundreds of open source developers over the years. And for every person who feels the way that you do, it hasn't meaningfully moved the needle for you, your reputation based on your open source has not preceded you into those sort of situations. There's somebody else who, we've heard the stories over and over again, they can either directly or indirectly tie their current career, their current status to their open source project. So it's not a guarantee.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does work. It is a way to gain reputation if you're successful at using it in that way. How best to gain reputation, I think, is completely subjective and contextual, and I don't know if I can give a blanket answer.
Yeah.
But Adam might be able to.
Ditto.
How do you do it, Adam? Tell us.
I never heard of him until today, so I don't think he's doing a good job.
Right.
I think
Is that
that's
GitHub?
Well, it's weak. His Bitbucket, though, was on fire.
Yeah, well,
SourceForge.
Oh, yeah.
gain reputation. I think you show up and you do what you said you could do, and you do it well, and you rinse and repeat, and that gets you reputation. I think that also there's a publicness to this world we're living in. In one way, shape, or form, there's a socialness and a transparency that's required to show off who you are and what you're capable of doing. I think, your analogy of the architect not being scrutinized, I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
at the same time, that person contributed in some way, shape, or form to several buildings, using your example. So those buildings are their portfolio. In some way, shape, or form, you've got to show off what you say you're able to do and prove you can do that. Enough so to gain the trust to get the opportunity and then deliver. And reputation is formed by doing that again and again and again. until you are popular enough that you have a reputation to precede you.
Do you think our industry would benefit from like a national organization of certification rather than the subjectivity from company to company then? Like we all, lack of a better term, say there's a, national union of web developers, so developers, programmers, whatever you want to call it. And the standards aren't just determined by Amazon and their processors and Oracle and their things and so on and so forth. Like independent organizations, do you think the centralized one would be a way to kind of solve that? Because I've proven it in the way we all agreed.
Possibly. Hesitantly, possibly. Very hesitantly, though. However, one of the things about our industry is it's so young, and while there are commonalities between different kinds of software, it's changing still at a very rapid pace. It's very difficult to certify and to stay certified in a way that's productive around something that moves that quickly. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I know there are efforts to come out with certifications. Those are all good. A national certification that we all agree to, I don't know. I get skeptical of those kind of efforts personally.
Yeah.
But
it's not very capitalist, I can say that.
No. I think what I like about our industry is that it's one of the few where you can just show up and do and be good at it and get a job. If you could produce a good outcome, you're hired. Whereas...
I disagree.
are you currently looking?
No, but
Okay.
How do you disagree?
interviewing is a completely separate skill from being a developer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I am trash at interviewing, but I think I'm a pretty good developer.
Okay. What I mean, though, so his question is not about the interview. It is about the certification that says I'm good enough. And so I like the fact that I don't have to go out necessarily and get a computer science degree that says that's the gate, and therefore I have the pass, and so I get through the gate.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from, is that if you can produce, if you can do, if you can learn by doing and show up and do it, you have access.
That's
it's not,
true. That's
it's
true.
not controlled by a certification or a degree or this or that. It's literally, you're curious enough in this young industry we have to show up and be curious and find a path and forge that path, make a network and do, and you're in. For the most part.
Right. Yeah.
There is no true gatekeeper aside from opportunity and doing the job.
But the interview process does suck.
Yes.
So we're not going to disagree on that.
Yeah.
You know?
From like a working agreements perspective of like, you've shown you can do this job, not the interview aspect or everything else. I completely agree with Adam there. Is that is a benefit of it, is that I'm not like kept out by, the equivalent of law school and residency for medical people and all this else. And
Or
obviously
renewals of certificate. You know what I mean? Like, you have to repass the bar exam or be current on X to be Y. We don't have that necessarily. There's some parts of our industry that may have versions of that.
Right.
But by and large, for the most part, if you can be a software engineer or a developer or a producer or whatever you want to frame that person as, you can do the job and you get the job and you get paid well for the most part.
Yeah. And you also can use these tools to launch a business for a pretty low cost. I mean, it's got to be one of the cheapest small businesses that you could potentially...
It's software.
It's software, and anybody potentially can do that. And I agree with that because in the sense that, like, the gatekeepers in comparison to the lawyer or doctor and all that other stuff, and obviously we're not saving lives. No humans are harmed by this, so of course we don't need those kind of gates per se. So it's a great counterpoint, I think, to that thing. But like Robbie and Jerod alluded to, or just straight up said, now the interviews, which are separate from all of that to get all together, and where there are books and certifications to learn how to interview at Google or some shit like that. And I say that because we have the badge.
The lanyard.
Yeah, the lanyard. That's the fancy word. So that is something else altogether, which is a little bit ridiculous. We can almost just separate them. I have to learn to interview to get past. And then I can just do my job well.
Yeah. The interview is nothing like
What happens
the
to
job.
the days of like, the guy in the hoodie who sits in the corner eating Funyuns, chugging Mountain Dew, but he's fucking crushing it. But, he's not leveling up his team around him. They've kind of been shifted out of, the industry in a lot of
Lone
ways.
wolf is really looked down upon.
Yeah. Like, that's an interesting thing to me because, like, to what you said, those are people who know it and can get the job done, but I don't want to go get a beer with them, so fuck them.
Well, the job isn't merely writing the code, which is what the lone wolf thinks it is. And so there's more to the job than many of us want there to be.
Sure.
And because many of us are socially awkward and not skilled in that area, we'd rather talk to computers than talk to humans, right? Like that's
Right.
I understand that sentiment. I've felt that way, even right now, currently. I might be feeling that way, but that's not anymore. Maybe it once was because you had one engineer in your entire business, right? Or one sysadmin who just ran the entire network. That's just not the reality of the job anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think those people are marginalized, is because, they aren't fitting the entire bill. But agree that the interview process just doesn't actually interview you for the job that you're going to do, which can be maddening, especially when it's difficult. Like right now, it's not easy to get that job.
Yeah.
When it was easier, you had to go through some rigmarole and some leak code and some other crap, but then you got the job at the end of it, so it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
it's
the
like
leak code is
8
bullshit.
rounds, and then they're like, thanks, we've chosen other candidates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's harder
Or
right now.
fake jobs.
This just in. Whiskey.fund is now open for all your merch needs.
That's right, Robbie. We're hearing reports of hats, sweaters, and t-shirts, as well as a link to join our Discord server.
What's a Discord server?
Just read the prompter, man.
Hit subscribe, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, and tell your friends about our broadcast.
It really does help us reach more people and keeps the show growing.
All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
That's a thing, yeah. Fake jobs are a thing.
Fake
Tell me, you
jobs.
know that?
Fake jobs.
It's not Steve Jobs' brother.
Okay. This is, hi, my name's Steve. This is my brother, Shake.
On a recent episode of Changelog and Friends with Johnny Borsico,
Yes.
panelist on Go Time, he shared his insights to fake jobs. And I think paraphrasing versions of what he said was essentially there's companies out there that act as if they're hiring because it helps them with their bottom line in terms of investors. It looks good. So they have these jobs out there that are not being filled. They may even have headhunters out there collecting resumes and keeping, in quotes, keeping these resumes and these people warm, but still looking for the perfect ideal candidate. Meanwhile, they've got 15 possible really good candidates that they're not hiring. So that totally sucks.
Which is a side effect of VCs
Inflating,
using hiring as a health metric. So VCs began using that, which kind of makes some sense, right? Like, well, if they're hiring, they must be growing.
Company's growing. And
Yeah,
it's
so
a lot of
VCs are looking for a way to judge.
Yeah.
And then, however, whose law is this? Goodhart, perhaps?
Goodhart, yeah.
This is the one where any measure that becomes known ceases to be a good measure. And so companies realize, well, we're going to look better to VCs if we're hiring. And so we can't actually hire. Or maybe we have one position, but we'll put out 8.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll just be very picky.
And we'll just get thousands of
And meanwhile,
applicants.
all of us
Fuck
are
it.
out there
Yeah.
applying like plebs, and their jobs aren't even real.
Yeah. That's annoying.
Wasting our time.
Yeah, 3 months later, you get we've reviewed your resume and decided you're not a good fit for this one, when really they probably did.
Why would you get anything back? That's more than you usually get.
Sometimes
That's actually kind of kind.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for letting me know. I can cross this one off my list.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get into the position where you're like, we should regulate this then. Just like your certification question. We should regulate this. We should make sure these jobs are real before they can post a job. That is not a world I want to live in either.
Man.
Like, over-regulation is not conducive to a free-moving market, right?
Yeah.
So the alternative is just to suck it up, I guess.
Yeah.
Or like just call foul heavily when we find out true examples of fake jobs, not Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm. Fake was a G's. But so call them out, like, say publicly you discovered this. Like, fuck LinkedIn. They've got 8 job postings and I know someone on the inside. Turns out they're all lies. Don't bother applying there. In that kind of way, like shaming there because they care about image and perception.
I don't want to be a cancel culture pile-on kind of guy,
Yeah.
but I feel like if it's egregious
Yes.
and it's like maybe even multiple offenses, we wouldn't do it. I would say Jerod and I would probably just walk away and just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
I think somebody I've seen do this semi-well and respectfully, is Gergely Orosz. He's called out several companies for various hiring practices, various things, even the whole WP Engine, WordPress situation and Mullawag, and I think he does a pretty fair job of holding people to a line.
Yeah.
It's not my demeanor. I don't think it's Jerod's demeanor. We've had a couple examples in our lives when we've been marginalized by a very large company who we would say were part of the community. We were told we're not welcomed. And we didn't say anything. We just walked away. We turned the other cheek.
Until now.
Of course, you just listen. Our 3 or 4 listeners would love to know right now. You know.
Shout out to George, Paul, and Fake. Those are your 3 listeners, right?
Yeah. Fake Jobs is a
Fake
big
Jobs
fan.
is definitely-
He's worked on Pair AI, I think.
Yeah, it's just a fork of Steve.
Yeah.
Anyway, forks, nerd fights and fork culture is a very interesting thing lately too.
It is. It is.
You bring up WP Engine and all that, but I'm sorry if we're going to go with.
Well, I just don't want to be for the cancel culture necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily helpful to ad nauseum just cancel something, or ad nauseum, not ad nauseum. I don't think I need in your brain, Jerod. You were like, it's ad nauseum, Adam.
We've worked together long enough. I just let it go.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he'll stop. He'll catch himself.
Assembly
He'll make
line.
he'll make it a big talking point, which just happened. Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum. I don't necessarily subscribe to cancel culture. I don't want to be canceled. I don't want to cancel somebody. I believe in forgiveness. I think people make mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with
You
that.
know,
Sure.
and I want to see redemption because I'm a believer, a firm believer in redemption.
Well, I think there's a big difference between cancer culture of individuals.
Oh, that was a Freudian slip. Cancel
Yeah.
culture.
Did
Was
I
that on
say
purpose?
cancer?
You did say
I don't know.
cancer.
You did.
Yeah, I just, okay.
I like it.
Cancer culture.
Cancer culture.
Cancer is culture.
Is there more of
Culture
this-
that's cancer? Yeah.
Is there
that's
more of
it.
this 2.5 wine?
No, just whatever. Roll with it. You'll be fine.
Is there more of this?
Yeah.
He really likes
he really
said,
likes
notice it's
Chianti.
2.5
He's
now?
into Chianti.
Anybody?
Into Chianti.
No,
Anybody?
No, we all think we
Okay,
should
so
drink that.
do you think there's probably a
let me get
different?
you a little?
Sure, I guess. Yeah. Jerod does not like this one, by the way.
I'll give you that. Oh,
yeah,
that's it.
smidge.
That's
yeah,
it.
it's just polite.
Just a
It's
smidge.
okay. Just for
Cancer
just
culture.
the tip, just for a second. So we're talking about cancel. Now you put it in there. Cancel culture.
You
Now I
really
gotta
put
say
it
a
in
few
there.
times, too.
Just take one breath real quick and then start again.
For individuals versus companies is my thought there, and it's like as a
Sure.
company collectively making these moves and not just one individual that gets canceled. I think there's a lot more leeway for individuals who do so,
Yeah.
who are just humans, have a feeling, a lack of understanding, make a mistake in the moment, become emotional. Companies, especially the larger the company gets, they are planning this. Either an HR is planning, somebody has made a plan and a group agreement to start to
A
go
room
live
full of
in a
people
way. Yes.
decided this is okay.
Yeah, right? Like, there's some C levels that know about this, or some HR people that know about this, or there's people who know and are making that conscious choice. So I tend to be more forgiving of the individual and mistakes in that way, unless you're like some people who just lean hard. Oh, I made a mistake. I'm going to keep going.
Who do you know like that?
I'm not friends with them, but
name and shame.
they'll say that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the WP Engine WordPress drama. That is a lean hard and keep going. I am right fighting my position, and I will not listen to the masses. And if you are canceling me, I have a large bank account. I don't give a shit. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I have no idea. He does seem to think that he is right,
He does.
and he's driving that company forward. So that is a singular individual set of opinions. But if like LinkedIn was putting up 50 job postings for a job they didn't have, and I learned the truth of that, I might be like, fuck that. So,
Contextually, there's a version of standing up and there's a version of canceling. And I think in the case of like a Matt situation, I'm not subscribing to the idea, while I disagree with several of his moves, I'm not trying to cancel Matt.
no.
If LinkedIn knowingly allowed in some way, shape, or form their platform to promote or allow for legitimately fake, is that even a thing? Legitimately fake jobs,
Real fake jobs.
real
Yes.
fake jobs,
.com.
then that's not cool at all. And I say call foul.
Yes. Agreed.
But if you're a small company and you're like maybe you're between rounds.
And you're getting ready, and you want a pipeline for
And,
once the trigger is.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds like it's mostly startups that are doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there are situations for founders and leaders that they get into some situations where they've got risk on the line. And I don't think it's necessarily okay to be like, well, let me just promote this fake job and like tantalize Jerod for a while and let him dangle. But I can kind of, to some degree, empathize because, wow, leading is so hard. Running a company is so hard. Does it mean you should be disingenuous? No.
Yeah.
But am I going to be personally, as Adam from Changelog, going to call them out? If it was on a podcast, yeah. If it was like in the moment on a podcast, would I do that? In the places where I'm known to share my opinions, I would share those opinions. Am I going to go out of my way to write a blog post about X, Y, and Z doing X? No.
Nah, probably
because that's
not.
not my medium. But if they were on a podcast with us, I'm like, it sounds like that job's fake.
Right.
And I got friends who applied. Then I'd be like, that doesn't sound legitimate. Is that real? I would totally ask them that.
Yeah.
Am I going to be like cancel culturing them and mobbing them? Nah.
Yeah.
It's just not my style.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
cancel culture, though, starts to become like a larger and larger blanket
It's
of
mob.
where it's coming
Yeah,
from,
it's very
right?
mob.
Like, yeah, but the cancel culture is about changing perceptions within the culture of folks that feel like they've been marginalized or worse. And
a
in
certain
this
group
sense,
of people feel like they shouldn't be involved anymore.
right.
And so therefore everyone should feel like they shouldn't be involved.
Yeah, and it's like no opinion is supporting the thing and all of that is a little egregious in my
And you're
opinion.
canceled if you don't agree with the canceling.
But we talk about a startup, and it's nice of you to have a little sympathy for a startup CEO that, has taken maybe a few $1 million or so, and they've made these decisions to try and like give them some last gasp efforts and perception of success or just even plateauing and maintaining a status quo. I would say being a leader is hard. Being a leader with integrity is even harder then, because that to me shows a lack of integrity.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even want to be there.
As I was saying, that's why I was backpedaling. So I don't want to be a lack of integrity kind of person, but I can at least empathize with somebody who is struggling to hold the line, because there is a phrase called by any means necessary.
That's true.
And to some degree, by any means necessary is sometimes a bending or a curving of the integrity. Not something I personally subscribe to, but I can at least empathize with somebody who feels compelled to do so to survive.
And the interesting aspect of that is you would see like that particular founder, if this story comes up 5-10 years later and they were unicorns and blew up, and you would say, like you said, by all means necessary. And boy, was he really willing to just buckle down and do anything to make it work. And they did, and that story is very different than the one of, well, they ended up drowning anyway and fucked over a bunch of people.
This makes me think of a very good TV show. Go ahead.
Yeah, what is it?
Silicon Valley.
I thought you might say that, but I was like, it sounds like the obvious answer.
Silicon
so I'm gonna
Valley.
wait and let you have
Richard
it.
Hendrick's character arc struggled the entire show with integrity.
Yeah.
There were a couple times he even referenced Abe Lincoln and habeas corpus, a very particular episode where they were planting pie holes or something like that in the HuliCon conference so that they can gain users. And that was a by any means necessary thing.
Yeah.
And it's wild. Like, you watch that show. So, I mean, like, that stuff happens. I'm not sure if it happens that dramatically in the world.
Right.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
They end up getting a lot of users. Phones caught on fire and blew up. They ended up getting all these users. And then ultimately other things happened, which led to the story arc of Pied Piper. But you see that. You see these folks struggle with integrity. And I think that show is a great example of playing out someone who really desires to be towing that line of integrity. And you see him struggle. You see it in the character. And you ultimately see it in the story arc of the entire show and the product, Pied Piper, and the team. That's an example of the struggle. And I think it's satire, obviously, but it's very real as well.
Yeah, it's not
I think it's
such a stretch from reality.
Yeah.
I think it applies the most on like the extreme ends of the spectrum. Like, they're a startup. They had to do some things to not in existence anymore. Then the other side of things, you're like huge phenomena companies.
Phenomena, yeah.
That's
What?
the new thing.
Phenomena.
Is phenomena.
No, stop.
Just put. You can't move on until we could put a pin in it,
Stop.
Jared, if you don't. Okay.
What's this phenomenon then?
Meta, Apple, Netflix,
Wasn't
Amazon,
that Elijah?
NVIDIA. I don't know. Probably not getting them all right.
We're working on
Microsoft?
Yeah, Microsoft.
Okay.
Yeah, Microsoft's the first one.
Because we think Microsoft should have always been included in Fame. But anyway.
They probably wanted in there and they weren't.
Yeah.
They're like, what's wrong with these guys? All right, keep
Yeah,
going.
what was I saying before? Oh, yeah. So those big companies, they're like, you're in a board meeting, and they're like, okay, if we do this to fuck over everyone, we make $500 million. That's a hard, like, yeah, no, we can't. We got to be nice.
Hey,
Like,
we
you know,
can't do that.
I've never been in that level of a conversation.
Right.
So I can't, like, speak to that. But I think there's probably a lot of that at
Well,
that
they also
end.
never say it that way. Nobody ever says
No,
it.
they
If we
wouldn't
make
say it
this
like that.
strategic pivot, it may harm the current environment for certain users, but we will gain these other users and give them this tangential benefit and profits. You need another yacht? I need another yacht.
I could use my
I
first
think
yacht.
This is a good start, yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
I lost my yacht.
Yeah.
It just, I went on shore, we ported,
Yeah.
and I was like, shit,
Yeah.
where's my yacht?
Yeah, you had
So I
too
just, like,
much
bought another
Chianti.
one. I was like, forget it.
No. That one ran out of gas.
Just forget it.
Yeah. Every time we buy a new one, the
The
tank's full.
captain and all, bye. Got a whole new captain.
So integrity and certifications and, you know, this is a whole thing about, it's funny, individuals, we are speaking first about individuals building reputation versus a company reputation. And we don't actually have the same like moral agreements from the humans to the group of humans who are a company though. I will say that because the morality kind of strips away the more growth and success you get because you're perceived differently. You did what you had to do to get there. Now, if you fall down and go burning, they're like, oh yeah, fuck that guy, he's a jerk. But if it goes the other direction, it often feels perceived the other way.
No.
So the ends do justify the means.
Yeah, I mean,
It
to a
depends.
degree.
Everything
You've seen that
depends.
show, yeah. You've seen that show Succession, right? That's not based
No.
in any kind of morality, even within their.
I haven't seen it. Can you
That
tell
is
us what
such
it's about?
a phenomenal, yet very, very disgusting show.
Absolutely.
Was it canceled?
No,
No.
it
It
ended
was
very well.
actually.
It went on. Probably a
Maybe
season
they
too
wrapped
long.
it up, but it was canceled.
Was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't canceled.
It wasn't.
No, it
way.
ended.
I'd call that.
Well,
it
yes,
ended.
they
It had a
wrapped it up,
natural
but it
conclusion.
canceled. I read that it was canceled. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think
Maybe
you're
I'm
wrong.
canceled.
I think you're canceled.
No way,
man. For
man.
saying that,
No
HBO
way.
will never sponsor
Brian
us.
Cox
That's true.
is
Don't
supposed to
you
be one
mean
of his
Max?
best roles ever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Stellar acting all around, gripping, and obscene richness.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible showcase and statement about what actually fuck you rich is. And that family was fuck you rich.
They were so FU rich, they were FU rich against themselves.
Yeah, for real. That's how.
I mean, there was no line that would not be crossed.
Yeah, agree. It's a great show. So whether Robbie thinks it was canceled or not, great show.
Did they
Highly
murder their
recommended.
father to take the throne?
No.
They tried.
They certainly.
They tried
were
versions
against
of
it.
murder.
Yeah.
Business murder, yes.
Yeah.
Because that goes back to Gladiator. You know, he hugs his dad,
Yeah.
Caesar. He just hugs him to death. You know that?
Yeah.
Walking Phoenix.
Yeah.
Remember Gladiator?
Yeah. I remember.
Remember it? He realizes. So I just watched this recently. That's why I have it down pat.
Yeah. Go.
We talked
So
about this, yeah.
Marcus Aurelius is old. He's dying. He's going to name Russell Crowe as the next Caesar, Maximus, whatever.
Maximus Aurelius.
Yeah, whatever his name is, Maximus. And Joaquin Phoenix, who is the heir to the throne, goes into his dad's tent, and his dad tells him, "You will not be Caesar." And he's like, "All I ever wanted to do is have you be proud of me, Dad." Like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And he's like, "My son," and then they get close, and he hugs him, and he straight strangles him to death, and takes the throne. That's succession right there.
That's some
Yeah.
succession.
Speaking of things that strangle you to death, how do you feel about TypeScript?
Well, I stay as far away as I can. Just like Marcus Aurelius should have stayed away from his son.
Yeah.
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 Always have a buddy.
That's good. No, that's a good pivot into the web. You run the
Somebody
web
else.
back into the
Yes.
whatnot on this
Yeah,
episode.
we've got a lot of whatnot.
A lot of
but-
whatnot on this episode.
Who is upset about the state of front end? Basically, just utterly disgusted with it.
Right. How basically
Thoroughly.
to prove some point, all business logic and API, all of that stuff has come somehow into the front end. I think
SQL in the front end is great.
I can't remember if it's Ken C. Dodds who was saying this, but I don't know. Somebody was saying, like, we have a ton of folks who know React really well, subject matter experts. So rather than reskill them across the stack, how about we just figure out a way to learn once, write everywhere?
Yeah, no.
And I think that speaks to this stage.
It's going to be a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like Kent, but I don't like that idea at all.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for, I want to learn how to do things, maybe not applied to front end, back end, database, everything, but like for building a front end, I should be able to write it the same way forever. And you just compile it to do whatever new shit you want behind the scenes.
I got a real problem with that particular attitude, which is extant in our industry, which is like, I'm only going to learn one thing, okay?
Right.
And you guys just work around my lack of knowledge for the rest of my career, Like, how about no? That's my stance.
Yeah.
How about no?
How about no?
No.
Yeah.
We're not going to do
It's
that.
an option. It's not on the list. You may check yes or no. Or maybe it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one doesn't even depend. I just think that's a terrible idea.
It was a terrible idea.
It's so myopic.
So what about Rails?
What do you guys think?
Rails?
Yeah, what about Rails resurgence?
I think
that's
I was
the
thinking about
line.
that too.
Hold on,
Yeah,
they're on.
I won't talk
They
to
switched
Let's have
topics.
them. They'll talk that.
No, we can't talk about two things.
We're trumping your topic.
Yeah,
go
we're
ahead.
moving on.
Please go ahead.
I was
Go
about to
ahead.
get a response to my.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Get a
That was a
response.
pretty hot
Get a
take, wasn't
response.
it?
Get a
What's your
response.
response?
Yes.
No,
Go
I
for
was
it.
just going to say, I think there's a line. I think some of it should work, but I think SQL in the front end, not a good thing.
That's the line.
Yeah, well,
Just skip the ORM.
I think we don't need half the shit we have to begin with.
Agreed.
Because Astro is the best way to write apps. Use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You don't need React and all the shit everywhere.
Agreed.
Just like write with web standards, use good accessibility, do all the stuff, and then if you need some kind of more intense backend or database, use the technologies that already exist for that. Rails is great. Use MySQL or Postgres or whatever, like directly. You don't
like our ORMs? Is that what you're saying?
It depends.
It depends. I like the sugar of ORMs. I mean, Django and Rails had ORMs. That's
I like
why
a
they're
good
true,
ORM.
Yeah, they're true web frameworks because they give you fucking login. You don't give me login. Don't tell me Next.js is a full of web framework. It's not. I got to have 45 other SaaS things that Triangle Company has invested in order to make a full web framework in that context. So
Talk about the dependencies of SaaSes on a startup. You've got authentication, login, various things like that you have to subscribe to deliver your application. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah, we
on.
replaced opinionated frameworks that
Because
had all
they're
that
too-
with a bunch of other services that you still don't write yourself.
Which I think is why Rails is having a moment again.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey guys, remember this? This was better before we went way over here.
It's
And
better.
It's back. It's better again. I don't know. I personally never left the old way because I'm a stodgy curmudgeon.
Yeah.
And so I've just been waiting and just been doing it.
and here it is. You're about to
You
have your
describe
moment
my
with
stack
this
right over there. You're like HTML, CSS, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, the sad part is,
First
though,
class citizens.
is we are almost 10 years deep into a platform that was not written in Rails,
And
which I have remorse over, but Jerod does
Into a
not get
platform
it.
that has all the same ideals that Rails has, so it's fine.
I get it.
We use Elixir and Phoenix.
Okay. So that
reasonable.
is also continuing
It's-
to like evolve and be great. And
Totally.
That is like kind of timeless software.
I agree. Well, I picked it 8 years ago, and I'm still happy with it, which you can't say that about too many things.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
that's true.
For sure.
That being said, Rails is cool, and if I was starting from fresh again, because I used to do Rails before that, I would definitely pick it back up again,
Yeah.
because Ruby is a great language.
And DHH is nice now. And it's making friends online. He convinced me to buy a framework laptop. So
Oh, how is that?
It's pretty dope. I just haven't been able to spend enough time to like make it my regular driver.
Right.
But it's that and the OwnFood is really cool.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
Yeah.
So I like being able to upgrade it if I want. And even when my Apple Care wears out, I can get it fixed.
How much did that cost?
I ended up buying one on sale, so it was under $1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's usually, actually, you can get a nicely put together one for about $1,000, 800 to 1,000, I'd say.
Okay. I'm about to get a new laptop, and I am so deeply in the Apple ecosystem. that I'm afraid to like peek out and see, because the cocoon is so warm and snuggly.
It is.
Yeah,
You're not
I
wrong.
agree.
You're
The
absolutely
sleep.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am
You're
curious.
a little curious.
I am.
You're gonna dip out
I
a little
am.
bit.
I think the
it's about-
workaround is you have like a rack mount Mac that you can have like iMessage your Linux, so you can still message people and shit.
Yeah, maybe.
That
Who
does
knows?
sound like a workaround.
But I mean, it's a funny thing because you can buy a MacBook Air and a frame Linux laptop and still spend less than you would on a MacBook Pro, like real, like high level one.
Yeah.
So it's crazy for that for case, but absolutely is.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I don't know. The HH was able to make it run his Apple XDR display even too.
No, he said it never worked.
It worked. No, he was only
he?
it worked.
Oh,
I just
okay.
didn't get the run level up that we did that made that work. But it would be a $200 upgrade for you to do that if I was like, I'm in. And then make that right too. So hard to say. But I say it's worth trying, especially at the price points. Anyway.
Yeah.
This
All right,
episode is brought to you by Framework Laptops. I'm just trying to find people I can build.
Yeah. This episode is sponsored by Casey Masterpiece Barbecue Sauce.
Oh.
I don't know.
Is it legal to say you're sponsored when you're not sponsored?
We do it anyway.
Is there rules to this?
I think
Holy
there's-
shit. Hold on. We've been doing this for
I think
like...
there's an FCC regulation against that.
Does the FCC cover things on the Apple podcast
They won't let me
store
be.
and things like that?
That's what I
Or
was
let
thinking.
Me
me
be me. So that you see,
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, do I say it or do I not say it?
you should.
And I'm like, they won't get it.
But I underestimated you,
too.
Robbie. I underestimated you a lot.
Well, Eminem.
Yes.
It
By
is
the
the,
way,
he is
yeah.
the GOAT,
Yes.
apparently.
He's 51 now. So
So that makes me feel old.
yeah, preaching to the choir here.
How do you guys normally end these shows?
We're done. Bye.
Yeah, no,
Get out.
we do try to ask at the end,
Is there anything
what
you
would
wanna-
you guys do
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
like-
weren't in tech?
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to possess this skill. If you just think this is cool and I wish I could do it, you can choose that too.
Yeah.
I would probably be the emperor of the Roman Empire.
Oh,
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Just watch Gladiator the other night.
Yeah, you're like, that seems like a
This
good
seems
job.
pretty sweet. I like how you can just do this or this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everyone just does what you say.
Yeah.
My son does.
yeah.
About you, Adam?
Yeah. How about you, Adam? What would I do if I wasn't in tech? So many things. Am I retired?
It can be.
Whatever you want.
This is your
This is
dream.
a scenario. I mean, Jerod was able to time travel back to the Roman Empire.
Well, the Roman
Technically, I
Empire's
brought it
coming
to
back.
us. Yeah. Technically, I brought it to the future, so, but
Yeah.
that's a nitpick.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
If I'm retired, I would probably get into garden. I'd probably pickle my own pickles. I'd probably make guacamole every single day. I'd probably have my own avocado tree. I would probably have my own jalapeno tree
Oh,
and a
that's
serrano tree or plant.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Like a
how
bush.
unschooled I am on this process of gardening.
Well, you haven't started.
I would, first principles, not because I'm a weirdo, but because I really want to eat good food. And there's something magical that happens when you eat really good food. And I'm not talking like pizza good food,
Yeah.
but like fresh vegetables, fresh spices, make your own yogurt kind of situation, make your own sauces. There's something that changes with your food whenever you've done that, and you kind of don't want to eat out anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's like your favorite restaurant, and you're like, nah, not today. That's kind of where we're at. I make a phenomenal burger.
All right.
Phenomenal.
Is it better than
Links
Jason
or-
and
yeah.
Sarah's burgers?
The only thing stopping me from going layers and layers deeper is that I don't have time to grind my own meat.
Oh, right.
I don't got that.
But if you had time,
If I was not in tech and I was retired, I would be grinding my own meat. I would be sirloin with ribeye and, you know, all the stuff.
Definitely.
Make
All
my
right.
own ground meat.
Feel.
I'd make my own bun.
Yes.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes. That guy in LA on the Burger Show who has the butcher shop, he's like a chef and he has his own butcher shop. And then he gets like a bakery out in town to do his potato rolls for his burgers. They're amazing.
I'd fly my own plane to Colombia
Mm-hmm.
to get my beans myself from Raul,
Yeah,
who's a
fresh-
longtime friend.
fresh bags.
And I'm now a supporter of his farm. We have a co-op. We would shake hands, maybe kiss a cheek, and I'd come back with some fresh beans and I'd grind them that day.
Yeah.
And I'd make some good coffee.
Nice.
Nice.
That's what I would do if I wasn't in tech.
You could be my chef in the Roman Empire.
You can be my chef.
I would direct the directors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. And then, if you guys have anything you want to plug or mention that we didn't get to.
I'll say we have a show coming out with DHH this week. So it's Tuesday. It should come out tomorrow. It's probably going to come out Thursday.
When's this going to come out?
Not for a while.
Okay.
2 to 4 weeks.
It's in the
You'll heard it
past.
already.
Yeah, it's out
It's
there.
in the past. Look at our feed.
You probably already listened to it.
Changelog.fm. Look for something that says it's a Rails world.
Nice.
It might not be called that.
It'll probably say Rails or DHH.
We're still working on it. Yeah. I think I'm
Yes.
still down with that title. I don't care.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, y'all.
Ciao.
Cheers.
Ciao.
You've been watching Whiskey Web and Whatnot, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What the fuck are you talking about, Chuck?
Enjoyed the show? Subscribe.
You know people don't pay attention to these, right?
Head to whiskey.fun for merch and to join our Discord server.
I'm serious. It's like 2% of people who actually click these links.
And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and tell your friends about the show.
All right, dude, I'm out of here.
Still got it.